Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Russell Jackman. Mike McDowd is off on assignment today. At each commercial break, we are going to ask a trivia question. We've got some miscellaneous ones here. Let's see. TV, movie, and music. That's pretty fun. Okay.
I can participate in all three of those things.
Yes, you do. Let's see. When in the next segment, we're going to talk. This is just our little intro, but we'll talk Seahawks dominating the Pats. Talk a little basketball. I got a couple of comments about the Bad Bunny halftime show, which will surprise you actually, because people know me, and my attitude is Donald Trump, he's too liberal for me. So you'll be interested to hear.
We don't want to talk about it on this show, or we'll never talk about sports.
That's true.
At all.
But the thing is, you know me well enough now.
I got a bridge in Greenland I'd like to sell you.
Yeah. I like that. Okay. Yeah, I remember they were talking about that years ago, and everyone, of course, everyone thought they called it Seward's Folly for buying Alaska. Turned out to be not so much of a folly.
You got to buy something that's for sale. That's the first.
That is true. But
the first law of economics is you can only buy things that are actually for sale.
That's right. I think what they're going to do, they're going to liberate the Greenlanders from Denmark.
They don't want to be liberated.
You know what? We'll get into that on the show.
Yes.
All right. And then let's see. What do you want to talk about when we get back so we can tell the audience not to go anywhere?
Well, obviously, we got to talk about the Super Bowl, and I want to talk about who was maybe the biggest loser on Sunday night.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it might not be just the Patriots.
Uh-oh. I hope it wasn't you for betting.
No, I didn't bet on it. I don't bet on sports. You know that.
That's
you know
true.
I'm really
no, I mean like your fantasy football's over. Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's not a bet.
Sports Econ will be right back. Don't shut that. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, along with Russell Jackman. Let's see here. Go ahead, start us off. Who's the biggest loser?
Yeah, who was the biggest loser? And I don't think it was the Patriots. Patriots at least way overshot their wad, and they were, they got to a Super Bowl with a rookie a near rookie quarterback. I mean, they have a bright future, and they'll probably be there before May's career is over. He'll probably come back to it. I mean, he had a lot of talent, and he was obviously uncomfortable in the spotlight, and when the pressure was on him, he didn't shine as well. At least in the first 3 quarters, it took him 3.5 quarters for him to really look like he knew what he was doing. But no, there are bigger losers on Sunday night after the Super Bowl was over. I mean, don't you think that that Pete Carroll wanted to punch a hole in the wall, after watching that game? I mean, he was fired by Seattle, and then they go on and they win 14 games in the season, home field advantage, and they wind up winning the Super Bowl, and it was all without him. So that's something. How do you think DK Metcalf?
That was the whole idea, right? I mean, that's the whole frustration for him is, he was.
Yeah, how do you think Geno Smith feels? How do you think Geno Smith feels?
Yeah.
He was quarterback of Seattle last year, and they go and win the Super Bowl without him. And both of those guys, Pete Carroll and Geno Smith, go to the Raiders, which were nothing but a car wreck. And Pete Carroll got fired after that gig, after 1 year. And Geno Smith is not long for being a starting quarterback in this league. He's going to go back to being a backup after this year with the Raiders. The magic that he had, I think people now see, had more to do with Seattle's magic than it had to do with Geno Smith's magic. But how do you think DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett feel? Those guys were the 2 big-name receivers of Seattle that Seattle got rid of, and then they go to win a Super Bowl with Najigba, who makes them forget completely about Lockett
No,
and
I
Metcalf.
think
Those guys
he's got a lot
are
of talent. He just has to kind of keep his mental acuity in check.
But again, he left Seattle in
Yeah,
nothing but problems. How do you think the Jets feel having drafted
yeah. Or
Sam
he
Darnold
played for Minnesota.
originally and giving up on
He played for Minnesota.
Well, I was going to say, how do you think Minnesota feels? After having Sam Darnold in their grip and they let him go and they have a lousy season, they don't make the playoffs, and Sam Darnold sails into a Super Bowl victory. How do you think us Niner
Well,
fans feel? Now, I've only been to one game. I've only been to one game at Levi Stadium, and that was the only game that Sam Darnold quarterbacked for the 49ers. And we
how
lost.
do you think Russell Jackman feels about that?
It's. I mean, at least I can say I saw a Super Bowl winning quarterback at Levi
Sure.
Stadium. He wasn't. But it unfortunately didn't win the Super Bowl for the 49ers, and he wasn't good enough for the 49ers as a backup. And he goes on to win the Super Bowl championship and beats us twice during the regular season, beats us once in the regular season, and pounded us in the second game in the postseason. In the game number 3 that we had that mattered. In the NFC divisional game. So yeah, that. I mean, kudos to Seattle. They earned it. They were the best team. I thought they'd be the best team. I was rooting for New England, but only by like a tiny little bit. If this was like the meter
Well,
here, this is about how far it
the
was.
Patriots is, a lot of people didn't have to hate on him. Like, after Brady won so many Super Bowls, just like Mahomes winning so many Super Bowls, people just kind of sort of just automatically hate them. And yet this is like a new team. So it was kind of easy not to hate the Patriots.
Yeah, and I mean May
Yeah,
seems like a good
yeah.
enough kid, and
Great.
they hadn't had a lot of problems. They weren't in everybody's face, but I think deep down we all felt, a lot of us felt that Denver probably was the
Yeah,
better team, but without Bo
yeah.
Nix and that injury that he got at the last second, the last couple minutes of the playoff game, probably would have been a better Denver
Or even the
Seattle Super
Bills.
Bowl. Yeah, well, the Bills, have had, now they've been
Yeah.
bridesmaids so often that you just wonder if that team is going to probably implode
But
next
I mean,
year.
I think Josh Allen
I think that
he's got what it takes. I think he does.
he does, but will he have the
Yeah.
talent around him? I mean, will guys continue to gravitate towards the Bills with maybe we might get a championship, or are they going to want to go to Seattle where, hey, they've proven, and Seattle has never really been out, even without
Yeah.
Russell Wilson. They haven't been completely out of the
Sure.
spotlight. They've managed to be
Yeah.
a decent team this whole time. They weren't, they didn't go through like a 3-win
Mhm.
season or a 6-win season like the
Yeah.
Niners had last year, to get where they are. And I mean, those fans are ecstatic, and I can't blame them for it. And I respect the game they put together. There was really no
That's
suspense
neat.
in that Super
It was one of
Bowl
those,
whatsoever.
it's funny because the last few Super Bowls before were fairly exciting, but this one reminded me of those boring ones that were for like year after year.
Once it was 9-0, did you think that New England was
No,
going to come
I
back?
mean, the Seattle defense
I
was too
didn't think
tough. They
that
just
either.
kept blitzing and unfortunately, it's funny. I wonder if you're a coach and you're seeing that your offensive line is just not doing it. Why don't you put the second stringers in?
I think that New England should have tried to get a little bit more creative in the playbook, and you run some
Yeah.
screens, you run some reverses, the only real effective time was when May was
Yes.
scrambling himself and running for yards, But if that's working. May's a young guy. I would have kept
Yeah. That
trying
was
to
energy.
do some quarterback
You
scrambling.
know.
He wasn't getting any
Yeah.
time to
I mean,
throw,
you got to do.
you know. But then you adjust and you start
Yeah.
throwing quick passes. And you start, doing
Yeah.
screens and bubble screens and rollouts, and bootlegs the tight end and that kind of thing. And it just was no creativity. It was just hand off straight up, try to throw long when it's 3rd and 5 or third and
Well, that's
seven. And
used to
Seattle
that.
was
I
just
mean,
too
if
disciplined.
you're at 3rd and 7 all the time, and especially if your running game is no good, I mean, defense is going to be planning for that. It's just,
Well, and the
yeah.
Seattle defense, you give that much of an advantage to the Seattle defense, then you're really going to be in tough shape.
And I'll tell you,
That's the
if Walker hadn't won the MVP, Witherspoon probably would have.
yeah,
No, no,
the
no, not
kicker, yeah,
no, the kicker could.
but
Witherspoon was,
135
he
yards
was
rushing.
he's either a linebacker or a cornerback. He was sacking and I don't think he had an interception, but he played a phenomenal game.
Yeah, what about the kicker who made 5
That's
field goals?
yeah, that kind of makes a little bit of a difference.
Yeah, so again, they had everything going for them. They played a perfect game as far as they're concerned. They didn't turn the ball
All
over
during
at
the
all,
playoffs.
versus
Isn't it amazing? The
yeah,
first time that's ever happened.
yeah,
That
yeah.
will win
I know
games.
that
Okay,
is,
are you ready for
and that's
you ready for our
just
first trivia question? Okay, we're gonna go.
oh yeah,
We're
oh
starting
yeah,
with TV. What TV series did actor Tom Hanks co-star with Peter Scolari? Oh, you
Solari,
already know the answer to this one.
Solari. So
In the
I
early
already know the answer
1980s.
to
In
this
fact, I
one.
think that's where Tom Hanks.
And you couldn't make it
No,
today.
no, no. You
could
cannot make this
not
one
make
today. And
that show.
I think this is where Tom Hanks got a start, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, other than his, basic like
Yeah,
stand-up comedy
exactly.
stuff,
All right.
it's,
Audience, stay with us.
basic.
You're listening to Sports Econ
I see.
101. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. One more time, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Russell Jackman, the infamous, famous Russell Jackman, excuse me. There you go.
Man, yeah, no, I
That's right.
no
Okay,
relation.
first trivia question. What TV series did Tom Hanks and co-star with Peter Scolari in the early 1980s? What's the name of the TV show?
Bosom
Buddies.
Buddies. And a show you couldn't make today because it had 2 guys in drag moving into a ladies only apartment, and they had to live a double life as both girls in drag and as regular guys. And of course, the other trivia question: who was the lady that Tom Hanks was like infatuated with in the apartment complex? And
Yeah.
I'll give you a hint. She's Mrs. Dan Aykroyd. She's been married to Dan Aykroyd for a decade.
Go ahead.
Donna Dixon.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And she's been married to Dan
Really?
Aykroyd
I did that.
forever.
I didn't know. Wow, look at that's.
So there's some reverse trivia questions.
All right, so I want to talk a little Bad Bunny here. So I was, me being conservative and all that, I was thinking, okay, what's going to happen here? Because I heard that he kisses guys and he comes in dress and that sort of thing, and I'm thinking, okay, here we go. And I got to say, I was not completely insulted at all. I mean, compared to other halftime shows that they've had, I actually thought it was pretty creative. The color.
Yeah, I wasn't seeing Janet Jackson's breasts.
But I mean,
they didn't.
I mean, it's going to always. It's always been a little bit sexualized and stuff, and it's like, yeah. But I was watching it. And the thing is, I was at a Super Bowl party, so they kind of turned down so we could all sort of talk. So I wouldn't have understood the words anyway. And that's the thing is, I understand the words. I don't know about those specific songs, but apparently they're a little crass. But no, I don't.
But you speak Spanish?
But someone told me that who does speak Spanish, that his songs in general can get pretty gnarly. But being that as it is, just the fact that there's a Latino thing. It's kind of weird. I sort of had mixed feelings about it because I was thinking, okay, this is, American football and, it'd be kind of nice to have, I'm not really that much into country music, but my wife said, they should have had someone like Pitbull, That would have been a good choice. There's
There's
always
always
next year.
next
I told
year.
her, I said, you call Roger Goodell and Jay-Z and you tell them that. But I heard, and this kind of makes sense. You know how they've been playing football outside of the United States, in England and all that, in Germany,
Yeah,
Mexico
yeah,
City.
Mexico
So it
City.
sounds like, and Goodell, I mean, I don't know how many millions he makes a year, 40 or 60 or a billion or whatever. It's all about the Benjamins. And so if you get people from outside the country, that's where they're gonna make, they'll sell sweatshirts and jerseys and all that kind of stuff. I don't know how many fans who were either watching or at the show were, offended or anything like that. But they talk about you should go to your base. That's why Budweiser was such a disaster when they had Dylan Mulvaney, because it's like that's not really a typical Budweiser drinker. But all kinds of different music. I mean,
But heterosexual people
oh,
drink
I know, but I
beer.
mean to make that your pivotal thing versus the old Clydesdale things, or the horses, or this one with the eagle was kind of
I gave you the
yeah,
eagle
it
and
was kind
the
of
horse
cute. It was
together.
cute.
You
I
know,
honestly didn't see enough commercials because I was at a party.
oh, I saw it. I don't think people
But it
really
used
care anymore
to.
about the commercials. They want to care, but the commercials have gotten so
Yeah,
incredibly genericized, and a lot of them are featuring products that, like, one of them was for a programming language that, like, nobody understood what that was for. It was something that just was for people in the industry. And
yeah.
why would you
Well, do
spend
you
$8 million
remember?
on
Do
it?
you remember when they had
Plus, I heard that
was it Danica? No, it wasn't. No, she came later. GoDaddy. Nobody understood what they had. These beautiful women doing GoDaddy, and what is a GoDaddy? But I mean, that was actually
well, actually, I know what GoDaddy is because their
no, but
website name
way back when it first started, and
registry.
they advertised.
Yeah, yes, I've always used them, but that's a different story. But yeah, I knew what GoDaddy was, but I
Yeah,
could understand why a lot of other people didn't. They didn't understand why Danica Kirkpatrick,
retail driver. Yeah,
the race car driver, was so into the whole thing.
made
But I
enough
guess
money.
they paid
Yeah,
her enough
and
money
then
for it. So
they had, like, I guess
yeah,
Tom
yeah.
Brady and a few other famous people, and well, I don't know if they AI'd them or if they probably have to still get their permission.
Well, that's another thing too, is that AI is becoming so ubiquitous in these ads that I think people are kind of tuning them out too, because they're like, they see enough AI now with they're
Mm,
on Facebook, or if they're on Instagram, or if they're on Snapchat, they're seeing AI all the time. So when these advertisers crank out AI, it's the people are like, they're not blown away. It used to be that people
yeah,
looked for the spectacle of
yeah,
the NFL commercial, of the Super Bowl commercial, and they were
yeah,
kind
they
of
were.
mini events into themselves. I think advertisers have kind of dropped the ball there and have been so generic in what they've brought forward to the public on this that they and I guess maybe part of it is that the NFL charges them so much for the spot, they don't have any money to pay for the commercial. There was like one commercial a few years ago where the guys were saying all we had money for was to get the money for this ad. And now, they're just standing there in a blank room with nothing else because they're like, yeah, it took us all the money that we had so we could
But you
do this
remember it.
one Super Bowl commercial. And we're like,
Remember that?
yeah, but I
Oh,
don't remember what the product was for. I don't even know if they're still around. I don't even know if they're still around. So that maybe that wasn't
yeah,
money all that well spent. If you have $8 million, you might want to just put it into your company, and rather than an extravagant Super Bowl commercial. And a lot of the automakers
yeah,
didn't have. There weren't a lot of years you have automakers and so forth, have these big extravagant commercials. I think they've all,
yeah,
dialed back on that and rather put their money somewhere else. Because $8 million, you could get a bunch of ads
yeah.
in a bunch of other places. And maybe the Super Bowl isn't where you. And then there's always the NBC marketing the Olympics, and that's it. We haven't talked about the Winter
Not
Olympics
yeah.
at all.
We definitely
So that
will.
should be
Yeah,
part
that's
of
the
the
thing is, if it's
agenda.
on, let's say NBC, they can take extra time and put in whatever they want. Watch this new TV show on NBC. But like a car, it's like, you see one truck, you see another. How many times people are going to go, oh, because I saw that truck. I guess if there's maybe special financing or something, then you kind of, look at it and go, oh, okay, let's go look at a truck tomorrow. I tell you, we do have a few minutes. Let's move over to the Olympics. So Lindsey Vonn, boy, what'd she break her leg?
Really tragic ending. It's just talk about the agony of defeat. That's probably the largest and most stunning example of what happens when things don't go right when you ski. Lindsay, is as professional as you get, and she broke her leg in 3 places. It was
she'll be okay
surgery
by Thursday.
Her career unfortunately ends in that.
She's
I guess you could try to,
now.
I know.
Yeah,
so this was really going to be her last.
It's really sad if it's
Olympics.
the first one.
Yeah, but I don't think she'll have the wherewithal to, rehab from this terrible injury and be ready in 4 years to compete against the best in the world. And in a lot of ways, that's one thing about the Olympics.
Yeah.
It is really a young
person's 4 years older,
contest. Yeah, when you get 30, upwards of 30, the number of Olympic athletes drops to such a small amount. You look at, Michael Phelps and like many medals he won, but once, he like got into his, late 20s, it was really, you just cannot compete with the 18 to 20-year-olds that, are in prime physical condition and practice
or the
for so many
the
years.
gymnasts who are like 15, and even that.
Right. Although I don't know if you were paying any attention to the story of Lola Brigida for Italy.
My dad used to love Lola Brigida, the actress. But go ahead.
Yes, I think her name is Cara Lola Brigida. She's
the
speed
we're going to cover her when we get back from our break. Okay, this one's an easy one. You better get this one right because it's fairly recent. It's nothing to do with some silent movie or anything. What actor plays Ken in the 2023 blockbuster movie Barbie? You did see it?
I saw that movie too.
It was kind of cute. I kind of
but not blanking on the name.
The whole idea of a Barbie movie, and Margot Robbie played Barbie, and she did a great, beautiful woman. Okay. Here's our second trivia question: What actor plays Ken in the 2023 blockbuster movie Barbie? All right, we come back. We're going to answer that question, and then we're going to talk about Lola Brigida. Lola Brigida. Okay, don't touch that. We'll be right back.
It's quite the name.
Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with Russell Jackman. Second trivia question: What actor plays Ken in the 2023 blockbuster movie Barbie?
Yes, yeah, I saw
it. I give you a hint. He was also, as a young actor, in Remember the Titans.
He wasn't
as much of a major player, but he had Ryan Gosling.
Is it Ryan Gosling?
Okay.
All right. Yes.
Okay, before we get back to the Olympics, we do have to do our silly jokes of the week. Yeah, 2 of them. We have to, absolutely. We have to. Okay, the audience is clamoring for it. What do you call a boomerang that won't come back? Yes.
A stick?
Very good. That's pretty good. You got that one. Okay.
Wow.
Actually, this one's not a joke. It's really just a silly thought. Why should you never throw Grandpa's false teeth at a vehicle?
Because you've got that boomerang.
You might dent your car. That's a silly pun of the week. Okay. All right. Let's talk a little skating in the Olympics. What?
Yes. and that is it's the Francesca Lollobrigida, and she's 35 years old, and she became the first Italian woman to win the Olympic gold medal at speed skating.
That's impressive.
The 3,000 meter speed skating. At 3,000 meters, you know, you have to think about that.
No,
That's
it's more
like a
than
little
that. Oh my
over a
God,
mile,
3,000
I
meters.
think.
A meter is 3 feet.
Or,
So they're talking 10,000.
Yeah.
That's 2 miles. Well,
so 2 miles worth of skating. Speed skating, intense speed skating at age 35, and she's a she's a mom of a small child, and it's just been a really, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, because it's the Olympics are in Italy, she's become like a national hero for doing this. So, you know, and those are the
Yeah, me
kind of
too.
stories that I really love about the Olympics. Those are the times when, you know, people, you see the devotion and the dedication and the sacrifice and what odds it takes to
Yeah.
just make it to the Olympics in the first place, let alone, you know, to get a gold medal and then to set an Olympic
An
record
Olympic
at age
record also?
35 is
Okay.
yeah,
All right. But also
Olympic,
to do
but
it for your
not a
home
world.
team, you know, the home crowd, so to speak. Yeah, I know there's a lot of people.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, you know, that's a hurrah. I mean, hey, America's doing pretty well, but you know, there's always, you know, Norway and
Well, you don't-
Sweden and, you know, Russia. Yeah. They're the ones that, you know, Lithuania,
Yes, but how's my Jamaican
Liechtenstein, and so
bobsled team?
forth that, you
How
know,
they?
get.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
I
think
like
there's
cool
a
runnings.
Jamaican bobsled team this time around. Yeah. Right. But, you know, that was back when the Olympics were not so expensive to be a part of. Now, to be part of the Olympic scene, you need tens of millions, if not like hundreds of millions of dollars to grease the hands of the Olympic Committee, which is, I mean, if we think that like baseball or football is corrupt or evil, there's nothing more corrupt in this entire world than the International Olympic Committee. They are so bribe filled and you know underhanded in how they get cities to cough up their you know money to host the Olympics and the shenanigans they pull. You know, and the I should only wish to be reincarnated in my next life as a member of the International Olympic Committee. I mean, the amount of whining and dining that everybody does for you to try to, you know, get you to hold the Olympics in your city. And it's not always a profitable thing.
Yeah,
There's a lot of cities that, you know,
they didn't bankrupt themselves with the big bean
by
or something
putting
that
on
they
the
built.
Olympics. Yeah, it can really, especially because, you know, if it's in a really remote place, like where it doesn't happen so much for the Winter Olympics, because stuff is a little bit more concentrated and you don't have as many games, but the Summer Games can take up all sorts of crazy venues. And, you know, we've got LA coming up in 2028. So we're going to see what, you know, LA, the original one in '84, was, I think, the last time, one of the few times the city has actually made money off of the Olympics. Yeah. So I'm going to be
And by
interested
the way,
to see
since I
this
feel
time
sorry
around
for you or
if
feel
LA
bad that
can
you
make
know
it a
you haven't been
moneymaker.
wined and dined for the Olympic Committee, I'll take you to the I'll wine and dine you at the Waffle House. How's that?
Yeah. Well, okay, that's fine because that means you're going to have to fly me
Louisiana?
to like Florida or, I mean,
Yeah, I don't think they have
Alabama or
one.
something.
Okay, how about
Where's the
In-N-Out?
Waffle House in California?
In-N-Out. In-N-Out Burger.
They don't have much. What? Okay, that's not as extravagant a deal. But if you're
Okay,
paying,
you can't order a
you
double because then I got to pay more
fine,
for
you
that
can
one.
take
You
me
got
to
to
a
order a
burger
single.
there. No.
You
In
know
fact,
what?
I'm not a big
Isn't
fan
that
of
true?
In-N-Out,
You know,
actually. I think their
I
fries are
like
horrible.
their
But
their
that's
fries are really bad. I mean, you got, and I'm not a big French fry
really bad.
fan anymore, but I used to be. And like, McDonald's has really good fries. And
Yeah, if you're gonna go and get fries, at least get them somewhere where they're really good. Actually,
oh
what
yeah,
I really like the Habit Burger,
I
and I
love
like the because they have onion rings there, and that to me that's
onion rings.
you want to get my
They
attention.
can't be too
Serve me
greasy though.
onion rings. That
Fried is good,
I'll pay
obviously, because they're
attention.
onion rings, but they can't be too greasy. Okay. That's
Yes.
too much.
Yeah, like the onion blossom, that's like the awesome blossom. That's too much grease. That thing is like a gallon. You can like run your car off of it.
Out,
It's got so much oil. It's you
it's
could
an
just
Outback
wring the
Steakhouse,
thing
right?
out and not need an oil change in your
Which they
car
don't
for
have it.
another 10,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, Outback Steakhouse, which there are no more any in
And
Marin.
I never
So
got to go to Black Bear
I'm
Diner
not
in North Bay.
going up to Roanoke Park.
Oh, 10 years ago, maybe?
What, did it close?
Not in Terra Linda.
No, Black Bear Diner's still open. Yeah. I
You
went
went
there
to
now only a couple
Black Bear?
months ago.
No, you went to a different.
Yeah. Well, maybe. Yeah. I'm sure the international audience that we have is fascinated with
Well,
this
Terra Linda,
discussion.
where is
So
Terra Linda?
let's try to talk about
Okay,
get it back
let's
to
talk about the
sports.
NBA.
We
Go
haven't
ahead.
talked about the NBA at all. We haven't talked about the NBA at all.
Yeah, it better
We've
be
got the
good
All
this
Star
year.
game coming up, and just
That's actually pretty good.
well, now they're doing a U.S. versus world thing, but it's like four
Yeah.
different teams or something like that. They're not doing like one full game than other countries versus us. That's what I thought was happening. Instead, it's like France
Almost
has
like a mini
their
Olympics
team,
in a
and
way.
you know uh, yeah, it's like a mini Olympics thing with the U.S. having their representatives, and
Well,
I mean France is going to be awfully tough because they got Wembanyama, yeah, and
they might bring
they
back Tony
have
Parker.
I think who is the other guy? Yeah, not yeah. I don't think Tony Parker. There's another French guy that. Well, they got
Okay.
Renault, who plays for the
Yeah,
Sacramento
they haven't
Kings.
been good since Vlade
He's
Divac played for
also a
them.
French player, and
The King,
um,
the Kings. They just
what for the Kings? Oh yeah, that's a
yeah.
long. We're talking like 2000. Yeah, 25 years ago. And unfortunately, Sacramento just
Yeah.
set a record that they really didn't want to set. They've now lost more games in a row
Like
than
13.
they ever have in their franchise history. They've lost like 13 games in a row, which I lived in Sacramento for 8 years. And one of the things that my first memory of moving to Sacramento for law school was I watched the Kings lose 41 consecutive road games, which is still an NBA record. They lost
Yeah.
every single road game
So yeah, that would
that I watched for an entire season. Every single
wow.
one. They didn't win one until the next year. And that was a record for futility.
Yes, but at
But
least that
now
other
they've set the
record
record for
will not be broken.
most number of losses in a row.
You can't break it.
Yeah, well, they hope that's one. Not this year. Let's put it this
No.
way: it won't be broken this year, but there's always next year. So, poor Kings
Well, it's
fans,
like
they've
the-
suffered so much for a team, and they've been really loyal fans. But I'm wondering, like, how much longer people are going to be able to withstand all this losing. Even, I mean, everything has a shelf life, and when you keep losing forever, although I could talk
They
to
haven't been
Jets
great
fans
since
about
Mark
this,
Gastineau played for him.
find out what they have to say about
The New York
being a
Jets.
Jets fan. Wow. Yeah. No, I was thinking, Curtis Martin
Yeah.
maybe was the last like great player they had for the Jets.
Yeah.
I mean, they had Aaron Rodgers there, but he was a shell of himself. And since then, they've been a living disaster. Every time that they suit up, and this year was no exception. So,
Just
you know what Jet stands for, right?
exit tomorrow, Saturday. No, go ahead. Just something though. Oh,
You got
gosh.
this one right, though. Just end the season.
Oh, man, you gotta feel sorry for them. That's tough.
Well, yeah, and Sam Darnold doesn't, but yeah, no, the people in New York do. Although, what are they going to do? Be a Giants fan? They were just as bad as the
You know,
Jets this
you
year.
got your
So
Bills,
there's no
but
real,
it's like they can't quite get to the big one.
appeasing.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, that's
and I think
all.
that's where most of New York put its
All very, very.
faith into.
Yeah.
It still didn't help out. But yeah, no, the NBA, it still looks like it's going to be Oklahoma City and then everybody else.
Yeah.
I think San Antonio might put up a really good fight in the playoffs against Oklahoma City. San Antonio, I mean,
Somewhere.
Wembanyama is probably going to get a title somewhere down the line. It might not be with San Antonio, but he's going to, if he like goes to
Yeah.
LA, for instance. Oh, what a gag that'll be. But I mean, like think about like him plus Luka Doncic together, or they're saying San Antonio is going to
He's
try
got
to
to
get
stay with his
Giannis
injuries, but
in the off season.
yeah.
You know,
Okay.
yeah, but if Giannis thinks he has one more title in him,
Yeah,
wouldn't you think that you'd have a better chance
sure.
in San Antonio with
Another
Webb than you
hours
would if you were
like
trying to
and
make things
Robinson.
work?
Okay, let's go to our third trivia question
Yeah.
here. Before embarking on a solo career, Beyonce was part of what R&B group? Okay, wow, we're gonna go 3 for 3. All
Oh,
right.
okay. I think I know.
Okay, well, that's good. All right, audience, stay with us. Sports
Yeah, I
Econ
think I
101. We'll be right back with some closing comments and our thoughts for the day. Don't touch that dial. And last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Russell Jackman. Okay, our third trivia question. This is going to be it. See if Russell can go 3 for 3. Before embarking on a solo career, Beyonce was part of what R&B group? Yes, the man bat
Destiny's
1,000 for
Child?
today. Wow.
Nice.
Okay,
Well, all
well,
right.
friends, or no,
Finally,
I'm going to have to
you
go
didn't
back
ask
to
me
baseball from the
a Friends
1870s
question.
and see if you,
Yeah,
you know,
question about Friends. You know what? I have a greater chance of being able to answer
like,
that
remember
than I
Mike,
do about a question about Friends
Mike
TV show.
Gene remember him? Mike,
Baseball from the,
his
yeah,
first,
like
oh,
prehistoric sports. Like if you wanted to talk about,
okay, you ready? All right,
cavemen
here is our
hitting,
thoughts today, your favorite part of the show. And you're like this one because it has to do with computers. So the internet connection at my farm is sketchy. So I moved my modem into the barn, and now I have stable Wi-Fi. You can use that because you're the computer guru. I give you permission because I stole it myself. So you may steal it from me. And did you hear about the restaurant on the moon? Great food, but no atmosphere. All the green
I was
cheese.
going to say that you get all the
No,
green
but
cheese you
that's
want.
not bad, is it? Great food, no atmosphere.
Well,
Okay, don't steal that
I
one.
like my green cheese too.
You're going to use the green cheese. Who wants green cheese?
No, I'm
All
going
right,
to use the green
audience,
cheese too.
tune in next week
Nah.
to Sports Econ 101. We're going to see if Russell can go 3 for 3 again. I don't know. I might have to ask us some a little bit harder questions. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Adios.
So long.